What's up guys, JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another Top 5 Friday. Be sure to pay attention to the video as I am giving away another digital copy. This week it's 1968's Planet of the Apes. Now this digital copy is a special edition, meaning it actually has some special features that are not available on the disc. Something's exclusive to it. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is. I'm giving that away, so the code will pop up on the screen. First to redeem it, be sure to drop a comment in the comments down below, because we don't want everybody trying to type the code in when it's already been redeemed. So please do that, and also pay attention for the end of the video in which I will announce what I'm giving away next week in terms of digital copies. And with that said, let's jump into this week's top 5. So this week's top 5 is werewolves. Werewolves are really a subgenre that is kind of considered a classic, but at the same time a little bit overlooked. I think people kind of forget how many great werewolf films there are. I easily could have made a top 10 here, so this is probably a topic that we will return to at some point, because I actually really like werewolf movies, and lately I've kind of been in the mood to watch them. So the only criteria for this list is it must be a werewolf film, and I'm keeping off things that are like anthologies such as Trick or Treat, which do have a werewolf segment in them, but I wouldn't necessarily consider them a werewolf film. You know, it's not a film that's specifically about werewolves, so I kind of limited myself to films that are almost exclusively about werewolves. So with that said, let's jump into number 5, where we have a classic. We're going way back. We're going to The Wolfman. I have The Wolfman here in the Legacy Collection, which has all of the Wolfman films from Universal, to my knowledge. I have the box set, which has all of the Universal Monsters films. I think it's like 30 films in that box set. It's pretty cool. So this is the classic tale of the Wolfman. It is about a man who gets bit by a werewolf and he begins to turn into a werewolf. He's played by Lon Chaney Jr., who does a great job in this film. Just such a tragic character, and really kind of plays on all those themes and legends that grown throughout the werewolf genre. You know, the tragic tale. This is truly one of my favorite Universal Monsters films. I put it second to The Invisible Man, which happens to be my favorite. But yeah, this movie is a great, spooky, good atmosphere, classic Universal horror, and if you've never given The Wolfman a shot, I think that even some people who think that those films are a little old and dated can appreciate The Wolfman. I think that's a good place to start if you're going back through the Universal films for the first time. Coming in at number 4, we have a newer title. This is 2014's Late Phases, and I have it in the Dark Sky edition here, and for some reason they felt the need to retitle this film. When it originally was released on like VOD, it was just called Late Phases. They titled it Late Phases Night of the Lone Wolf, so a lot of people got confused and thought this was actually a sequel, but it's not. Late Phases came out in the year 2014. It follows a war veteran who happens to be blind and moves into almost sort of like a retirement home, where his first night there he hears his neighbor be attacked and killed by what he assumes is not human. Turns out it's a werewolf. He's trying to figure out how he's going to deal with that when he gets no help from the police or any of his family or friends. And it's kind of an interesting film, because you have a guy who's at a severe disadvantage here, being blind and having to use his heightened other senses to sort of deal with this werewolf. It's a really good movie. It actually made my top 10 of 2014 at the number 2 spot. So if that doesn't tell you that it's good, I don't know what will. Definitely check it out if you've never seen it. It's definitely a gem. Coming in at number 3 is actually a film that was not even in my top 5 at one point, and by one point I mean like a week ago. And that film is Stephen King's Silver Bullet. I have it here in the Umbrella edition. You guys can pick this up from Umbrella. It's a company based out of Australia. They do a fantastic job. To my knowledge, this is the only Region 1/A Blu-ray release of Silver Bullet. It has a really good transfer. I highly recommend picking it up if you're a fan of this film, which I obviously am. Silver Bullet came out in the year 1985. It's based on a Stephen King story, and it basically follows this little boy played by Corey Haim who is handicapped, again with the disadvantages in the werewolf films. I think that works pretty well. He's handicapped. He's in a wheelchair. He has this badass wheelchair that drives around. It's like motorized, and there's people getting killed off in his town, his best friend, kids, stuff like that, and he believes that it's a werewolf. He enlists the help of his Uncle Red, played by Gary Busey, and they try to stop this werewolf from killing more people, and it's a mystery who the werewolf is. This movie is so fantastic. It's actually a film that was not even in my top 5, like I said. I seen it back in 2014. I thought it was just okay. I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool. You know, it was a good movie, but I didn't think it was anything special. Watching it this time, I truly understood this movie. The camera shots in this film are absolutely fantastic. They build suspense great. There's a lot of awesome characters in this movie, such as Corey Haim's character, as well as his Uncle Red, played by Gary Busey, who's just an absolute nut in this film. He's just such a great character. If you've never seen it, it's quickly becoming one of my favorite werewolf films. Coming in at number 2, we have 2002's Dog Soldiers. I have it here on the Scream Factory edition, and like Jay said in his video talking about Dog Soldiers, this transfer is not the greatest. It's not Scream Factory's fault. The elements that they were using were just not good, plain and simple. But this is still a pretty cool release with a lot of cool special features. It's probably the best way to own Dog Soldiers still. Dog Soldiers follows a group of soldiers who happen to run into a group of werewolves. It's a pretty awesome battle. There is a slight little bit of comedy in it, but I don't think that it overshadows the actual scares and wow factor of these werewolves. They look good, and they're personally my favorite looking werewolves in all of horror. It's just a cool movie, kind of low budget, directed by Neil Marshall. He did a great job on this one. He also did The Descent, British filmmaker who's really good. Dog Soldiers made my top 10 of 2002. It actually came in at the number 8 spot, but it's possible that that film would even be higher now because I really like Dog Soldiers. Coming in at number 1 is my absolute favorite werewolf film of all time. We have Ginger Snaps. And this is once again a Scream Factory release. Believe it or not, I've never checked this film out on Blu-ray. It's still actually sealed here, so I can't comment on the special features, but I'm sure it's a great release with a great transfer. Scream Factory is usually, you know, top of the line when it comes to stuff like that. So pick this up if you've never seen it before. Ginger Snaps is such a unique werewolf film. I remember just flipping through the channel back in the mid-2000s and landing on these 2 girls who looked like they were murdered, and it turned out that these girls were just into taking photography of each other in death positions. And it instantly caught my attention because, you know, being a weirdo kid into horror films, that seeing these 2 good-looking chicks kill themselves was kind of cool to me. And I was like, yo, this movie's pretty cool. What's it about? I started watching it. Turned out it was a werewolf film, and I loved it. And I even loved the 2 sequels that came later. But it wasn't until much later that I really understood the full dynamic of this film. So this film plays on the fact that girls, you know, teenage girls go through, you know, becoming a woman, and the menstrual cycle coinciding with the cycle of the werewolf. There's a lot of metaphors and things like that that are used in this film to link puberty and werewolfism, lycanthropy, or whatever you call it. It's just brilliant. It's like, I can't believe people have not thought of that before, or at least to the extent that it's done in this film. It's a Canadian horror film, stars Scream Queen Catherine Isabelle. It's a great movie. It really is. If you've never seen Ginger Snaps, definitely give it a shot. It's set on Halloween during a few scenes. It's just an all-around great horror movie. It's one that I could pop in anytime, honestly. I've always been a huge fan of it ever since I seen it that first night, and I always recommend it to people who are kind of interested in horror but are not super into horror, because it's just one of those titles that usually is very successful in recommendations. So that is my top 5 werewolf films. I hope you guys enjoyed. I have no idea what we're doing next week, but I'm sure it's pretty awesome. We do keep a list, but I really don't pay attention to it until it's time to record the video. That's why this one's so late. But next week, I am giving away another Blu-ray copy if we can get to a certain amount of likes on the video, and I am going for 2 likes. So if we have 2 likes on the next video, I will give away a copy of Leatherface on digital. So you guys will have a digital copy in the video next week if we can get to that hard like goal of 2 likes. I figured I would start throwing like goals in here, because why the hell not? I'm trying to get these videos seen, guys, and you guys like to watch them. I truly appreciate it, because it is motivating to me to make these videos, which do take a lot of time, because you guys want to watch them. That's all I ever wanted from YouTube, was people to want to see my content, and I feel like it's really going in good places now. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are awesome, truly awesome, and that's why I'm trying to give you guys stuff that you know, that I don't use. You know, it's not the most valuable things in the world, but maybe we'll give away some actual Blu-rays sometime in the future. But for now, we'll stick to these digital copies because I have abundance of them, and I don't want them to expire. So see you guys next week with another video. Peace.